Oh yeah, it's double organic.
This is a young Thai coconut, but if you've never seen one before, you might think that you need to be some sort of NASA scientist to get into one of these things. How do you do that? Or maybe you think you need to have the teeth of a beaver. But those couldn't be further from the truth. These are easy to get into, as long as you know how to and you have the proper tools. Look at these knives. Look at my arsenal. Lots of different knives here, and I'm going to show you 5 different ways that we can use these knives to open a coconut. I've got a serrated knife, got a cleaver, have just your normal chef's knife, and even a pocket knife can open a coconut if you are determined enough. The first method we're going to look at uses the serrated knife or a bread knife, and what we're going to do is just cut off the tip of the coconut and expose the coconut meat and coconut water. So what we're going to do is lay the coconut on its side, and we are going to start cutting into the coconut to feel for where the nut is, or where the coconut shell is. So over here it's just the husk, but over here a little bit deeper into the coconut we're feeling the nut itself. Okay, so we know about how far we need to cut in, and what we're going to do is point the knife slightly in towards the coconut. If we're going this way, we're just going to shear the husk off, and we want to actually cut into the coconut. So we're just going to start cutting. Okay, here we go. So here you can see that we have cut through the coconut, and we can peel it back a little bit, and it's kind of tough to see, but you can see the white of the coconut, and we're just going to cut through the rest of the way. So there we go. We have cut the coconut open and sheared it, and we barely made a hole. So ideally you don't lose any of the coconut water. If you cut too far in, you're going to rupture the coconut, but in this case we didn't lose any of the water, and we can cut this open and then pour the water out. So using a serrated knife is one way to open a coconut. It's pretty easy, and while sawing at first is a little bit difficult, it gets easier once you start the groove and get through the coconut further. Basically, when you're starting out it's difficult, but once you're at this point it's very easy and it just cuts right through. One downside of this method is that it is a little bit hard on the knife, so if you don't want to ruin the knife, this might not be the best option. But if you're doing it every now and then, it's probably not a big deal. You can also open a coconut with a chef's knife. Now, you could do this on a coconut that hasn't been opened at all, but I'm going to also be able to do it on this coconut here, which we opened with the serrated knife. And we're going to now be able to open the coconut much larger so that we can scoop out the meat. So all we need to do is shave the husk off. to expose the nut. This method is a little bit messier than if you were to open it with a cleaver. But if you don't have a cleaver, this is the next best thing. We're just going to keep going around the coconut, cutting away from the direction of our hand, and we're just going to shave off all of the husk until what we have is just the nut exposed. Now what we're going to do is just hit the nut with the back of the knife, and we're going to crack it. Okay, so here we go. Just hit it with the back of the knife. We're going to crack the nut, and we can just pick all of the pieces off. Sometimes it cracks in a bunch of small pieces, and other times you're able to take it off in one piece. It just depends how it cracks. But here we have cracked the coconut open, and we can scoop all of the meat out to make some sort of sauce with, or to eat as is. So here's another way you can open a coconut with a pocket knife. I'm using a Leatherman. My dad always said, use the right tool for the right job, and a pocket knife is not the right tool for this job. But sometimes, maybe we're on the road, we want a coconut, we have a coconut, we don't have the proper cleaver for it, we can make do with a pocket knife. So I'm going to show you how to do just that. Okay, so been sawing off the husk. It is messier than using a cleaver, but I have done this before in a hotel room. Raw food on the road. We're just going to expose a little bit of the coconut. Just been sawing it off here. And it's going to let us crack it. Alright, as you can see, the coconut has the husk shaved off, and now we're just going to be placing the knife onto the nut, and then we're going to grab the knife and use our fist, or our palm, to strike the knife. And we have made a hole, or a slit, and now we're going to wiggle the knife back and forth away from ourselves to cut it open, and now we should be able to twist and pop. Okay, as you can see, we're zoomed in and we're just twisting the knife, popping the coconut open. There you go. Quickest way to chop into a coconut is to use a cleaver. You're just gonna let the cleaver do the cutting, and you're gonna cut a square. And so what we're gonna do is just hold the coconut on the opposite side that you're cutting. Do a couple practice swings just to line yourself up, and you're just gonna chop straight down. Rotate the coconut. Rotate. And last cut. There you go. Then you're going to stick the knife in and just break it open if you need to, but in this case we have cut it open completely. Now, as a martial artist, the last way that I'm going to show you that we can open a coconut actually uses no knives or tools and just my hands. My hands are a deadly weapon, and I can use my chi and exert that power onto the coconut and crack it open. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you now. Good stuff.